cigar shed, have a few beers with Chris Watkins, John Bike, and John Robles. I don't know why you called this meeting, Chris, but
So recently, the WPH put out some publications about double strategies. So I thought, man, this would be a great opportunity to kind of talk about some of those finer points of doubles. Being
smoking and drinking.
Well, we have in the this would be our first edition of Cigar Chats.
I love it.
But so we've got John Bike here and John Robles, who are some of the legends of the game from the 90s and 2000s, well accomplished, tons of titles. But for doubles, I've had the fortunate opportunity to play with both of them. And I think in some of the double strategy, at least from the right side perspective, it's not knowing what to hit, but what not to hit, so that these big guns can take over. So why don't we talk a little bit about first on serve?
Wait.
What are our accomplishments?
First of all, the way to win in doubles is getting a good partner.
That's true.
But the way to win a championship is to get a great partner. And I've been fortunate enough to play with both these guys. Actually, John, we only played once, U.S. Nationals. And we'll get to Chris in a minute. I know he's dying for me to say a lot of good things about him. But let's talk about the John Bike, John Robles, two lefties in the court. And ultimately, two lefts didn't make a right, but we were up against Junior, Naughty Junior, and Dave Chapman, the late, great Dave Chapman.
Yeah, an incredible team, and you'd think you and I would have a glaring weakness, that right side alley, but we did all right.
We held our own. Now, for the details, I have to defer to John because he's got a mind like a steel trap.
We had a mind like a steel trap.
Did we go 3 with them? We went tiebreaker,
We went
right?
3. We had a very slow, mainly I had a very slow start. We had a great second game.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
You had a slow start. Crickets. What
You
happened?
want me to tell the story of why?
What happened the night before?
Yeah, well,
The night before. I know I didn't play probably the best I could have, but
we meaning John.
this should be a fireside chat. Talk to each other. Let the camera.
Yeah, we meaning John had a very friendly bartender the night before. And I had a very disappointing loss, my first tournament loss to David, which in reflection there's no shame in that, but that was the very first tournament he beat me.
U.S. Nationals? Or just in any tournament?
The first, real tournament. We had local things, yeah. So I knew it was just a matter of time. I was just holding him off once he started.
How old was he? 17?
Very young. He was a high school senior. Yeah.
17, 18?
Whatever his birthday was, he hadn't gotten to college yet, right? So I knew it was a matter of time. I was like a placeholder between Naughty Senior and him for title contenders, and so that was the first time. So David beat me in national semi that day, and then we went out that night and
to talk strategy.
It might have started out that way, it didn't end up that way. But yeah.
And we talked a lot of strategy, but it wasn't necessarily about handball.
It didn't turn out that way.
Do you want to elaborate, or you want me to pick up the story?
I'd like to hear your version of it, because...
Well, I think that you're very accurate, and it got to the point where we... I'm out of juice here. He's got a lighter over there. But it got to the point where you were very adamant, and being your partner, I wanted to listen to everything you had to say. And you refused to get into the car on the way home.
Well, the backstory to that is, the thing that would keep me in check and not make me go over the edge was just money. In a bar, I'd spend my money and that'd be all. But you had a special connection that night. By the end of that night, I was in the bar making my own drinks. And it wasn't my charm that did that. wasn't
And this was before Uber.
right. That's you were my Uber that night. I
So
remember
we
that.
chose, yeah, like I needed, yeah, right. But you chose a very awkward position outside the vehicle to ride home on.
I did. What?
See, I'm waiting for him to tell us.
Your greatest strength is your greatest weakness, and my relentless pursuit of whatever I was pursuing at that time. At that point of that night, I determined I had to ride on top of the car. This was
On the roof like this. He had such a big arm wingspan he could grab both sides. We had to roll down the window so he could hold on. And we went about, I don't know, 30 miles to the hotel.
No, it wasn't that far. That's crazy talk. I'll never do that.
A crazy story. He has to have some crazy talk. But yeah, that was awesome. I mean, but we also said that we would play again because we both felt that we sold ourselves short. That we could have beat them. We could have beat them. And they were just a two good team though, man. They were just awesome.
Yeah.
With Noddy Jr. and David Chapman. I mean, come on. That ranks up there with a Noddy and a who? Pancho or Noddy and Kendler or
Not even
Pancho.
Noddy and Vern.
Noddy and Vern, right?
The ridiculous super team was Chapman with Vince Munoz when they got together. Because Noddy Jr. is on and Vince at that level, but Noddy was a little younger at that time. Chapman and Munoz were prime. They were insane.
Yeah.
So how did Noddy at that young age handle that right side?
Well, he
for
started.
Chapman?
All I know is he started crying when he won. He was so happy. He was so happy that he beat the two greatest legends in our own mind in handball. But no, that was awesome. That was
Well,
Baltimore.
they were defending champs, so it wasn't like it was.
Oh, they were. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they won the year. They were a pick-a-partner team the year before, and they won the year before. Yeah.
Was Baltimore what year? Do you remember?
93, and he and David won in 92 as well. When Noddy was like a borderline pro singles player. That was
So he wasn't on the
amazing
tour?
what Noddy did at that stage of his career.
He wasn't on the tour then?
He was. I'm not sure what his rank was. He wasn't the Noddy Alvarado we all think of.
He was just knocking on the door.
Knocking on the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I played Noddy Jr. in Atlanta, and he beat me. And he was on the phone with his dad, and he said, and again, it's like, I don't mean to toot my own horn. I know John thinks I toot my own horn a lot, but he got on the phone to his dad in the hallway, and he said, Dad, I won. I beat John Robles. I beat him. And, you know, for me, I was like, I shouldn't have lost to him, but I was happy that he beat me because he was talking to his dad, who's one of my idols in handball. First idol being my brother, right? He taught me the game, taught me how to play, taught me how to hop and all that. But my second idol was senior. And when he got on the phone with his dad, it was like, okay.
Yeah.
It was sort of a consolation of losing that he had told his dad. So, but yeah, those were the days, man. Those were some good handball.
Great handball.
Good handball.
Great
back
handball.
then.
So what about doubles? Double strategy. When you guys are in that court and trying to pick apart a really good team at that national level. I think some of the things that people talk about is, you know, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to get to that level? And I think the one thing that most, you know, club players don't understand or recognize that, you know, John and Noddy Jr. and Noddy Sr. and all of the top tier pros is they will invest the time to get in that court by themselves and spend time hitting shots. And so in, you know, the doubles lanes get so narrow but it's instinctive. But it's not instinctive because it's just how they feel. It's instinctive because they've put thousands of shots in the court by themselves. Is that what you would do? Is get in that court periodically, once, twice a week when you were on the tour, and just get in there and
Yeah.
zone out and hit shots?
Yeah, because if you look at me in any other sport, there's not natural small eye coordination here. Just the reason I was good at some things in handball was exactly what you're saying, just pure repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Muscle memory.
Yeah, muscle memory.
Where you don't have to think about it.
Like you've seen me putt a golf ball and play bocce and
Yeah. So, but to the average player, that has to be one of the things that, to get yourself to another level, that you have to be willing to do, is to get into the court and hit as many shots and simulate those scenarios to where it does become instinctive.
Yeah, because if it's conscious competence. You know, there's conscious incompetence, meaning you know that you can't do something. And when it becomes conscious competence, when you start playing, you start hitting those shots, and you really feel comfortable with what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
The pro level is conscious. I don't know. I've had too many beers.
Right.
Competence, where it's just instinctive.
The muscle memory, you say, yeah, you don't have to.
Unconscious competence is what I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Unconscious competence is where you just see the shot forming, and you see the players positioning, and you just know what to do without really thinking about it. It's like driving a car. I've said this before in clinics. It's like driving a car. When you get in a car, you know, you put the key in, you adjust your seat, maybe the mirrors, because your wife or girlfriend drove the car and she didn't set anything back, and you get in the car and you just start doing all this stuff before you take off and drive. You don't think about it. It's just something that you do just to get ready to go. And it's sort of like, that's the way I equate it to handball. When you get to that level, it's like, because we put in the time, because we've practiced, because we've done all this muscle memory stuff, it becomes natural. And so you get to work on things even more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all the how should I say, the standard shots, the standard things that you do in handball become so easy that you get to start working on elevated things that make you even a better player.
Yeah.
And then in the national finals, you're testing that against other guys who've done the same as you, and that's the ultimate thrill. You know?
So then at that moment, you're in a finals, semifinal, a final of the nationals, and you know, from a right side player's perspective, I'm trying to get my partner a setup. I'm not necessarily going to end rallies. I may end 5 rallies in a match.
Well, they say a right side player usually they don't win the handball game, but they certainly can lose it. And that's exactly what you said. You've always, when we've played, you've always got the setup. You've always put yourself in a position to dig that shot so that you get the opponent to make a weak return to get me the setup.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been fun. There's nothing better. There's really nothing better when you have an awesome partner. You know, sometimes the left side player gets all the glory because he's got the big shot and he's got the power and he rolls the ball out. But when you have a good right side player, not only that can set you up, but also when you start to fatigue a little bit and you know when to switch.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a right side player that can carry that left on his own.
Yeah. I think one of the things too on that switch is, like, you know, the stronger player typically plays the left. You know, maybe they're struggling a little bit. There's a little bravado of not wanting to switch, but in our case, if I'm calling for that switch, it's just to give you, I don't want to say 2 points or 3 points off,